And just a reminder, make sure your mic is on and that you speak into it.
All right. Public matters not on the agenda. I don't think there's no public here other than the applicants, so we'll move on to the next item. You want to kick it off with the, Aaron? Oh, I'm sorry, the consent agenda. I'm trying to get my,
I don't know if you want me to, just a quick planning update while you're pulling that up. I know it's on the agenda, but the item that you all saw a couple months ago, the Broad Meadows, I'm assuming you all know what's going on around town, but the decision that the Planning Commission made was appealed to the City Council. That went to the City Council 2 weeks ago, and the City Council denied the appeal. So, and has asked the applicant to make some changes to the project and go back to the Planning Commission. So you may or may not see the project again. So,
oh, I noticed that, well, no, the,
that Panner Creek.
Banner Creek is for sale.
Uh-huh.
2.5 million, I think. Consent agenda, we have 1 minute. Is there any corrections to the minutes? If not, do we have a motion? Okay. Do we, all in favor? Aye. And then we have one item on the agenda tonight, conditional use permit, short-term rental, 335 Sutter Crest East, Sutter Creek.
Yes, so the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to use an accessory structure as a short-term rental. The accessory structure is a studio with a kitchenette, really a microwave, a sink, and a mini fridge in it, and a studio type room with a little loft. This is attached to their garage, and I think at one point was being used as a home office. It has a bathroom in there also. It does not take away from their existing 2-car garage, so they did not convert that. What the code allows is for short-term rentals to be conducted either in a main house or an accessory structure, so not in an accessory dwelling unit though. So, about 5 years ago, the council instructed staff to keep track of the number of short-term rentals. And if this one tonight is approved, it will bring us to 20. They've asked that we report back after we hit, or I'm sorry, if this is approved, it will bring us to 17. And they've asked to report back at 20 to review, see if we need to make any changes to our ordinance. So they have parking for the 1 extra car that is with the parking requirements require of them, and it's within their driveway. They have an extra long driveway, and it does not, again, take away from the parking for the homeowners' cars. And yeah, and the applicants are here and could probably speak to this application if you have any additional questions for them.
Oh, do you have anything to add from the application?
We just love this town and just want to promote it, and we're inviting
Great, great. The only question I have is, I think your dwelling was there when you bought the house. And the only thing I've observed at times in Sutter Creek, things get built sometimes without permits. Did the city check that this was a permitted structure when it was?
Yeah, so they actually got a permit about a year ago to make some modifications of it to turn, I think it was just a powder room into a full bathroom,
Okay.
and then put the wet bar in.
Okay,
Yeah. In the balcony, yeah.
okay, okay. And then the only other thing, if it's not an ADU,
No, it's an accessory structure.
right, so it doesn't require a secondary sewer hookup.
No, it does not.
What triggers that?
I don't think that you are, if you do an ADU, I do not think that you are required to do a secondary sewer hookup, utility hookups.
Oh, that's good to know.
Because the state put that in place so
Gotcha.
that it makes it easier and less expensive to build accessory
Because in the
dwelling
old
units.
days, you did.
You did,
Yeah.
and then it was thousands and thousands of dollars to get a new meter and a new, both electrical and all those meters. So,
Everything's good then?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Are there any other short-term rentals right on that same street? I mean, what's the density for short-term rentals there?
I did not look at that, and I'm thinking like the last two, I think that the commission approved were on Greenstone Terrace, which I know
Mhm.
that was a question there.
They were right next door to one.
Yes,
other.
and, the topography and the layout of the street and the widths of the street are much different up at Sutter
Right.
Crest than it is right there. So, but I didn't look at the map. I don't know if you know of any of your neighbors?
There's one, it's a whole house.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I don't think there's any up in that area. I know there's that one, Gopher Flat and Cole right there.
Yeah, the only, when we first started seeing these, and well, the city worked on an ordinance for a while, and then they abandoned the ordinance. You remember that?
Yeah,
You were on.
yeah.
I don't think,
I don't know what happened.
so anyway, the ordinance never got approved, but one of the issues that came up that some ordinances cover is distances from others, so you don't get a cluster of these things that could affect the
Correct.
neighborhood or a street.
Right.
That's probably what you're thinking of.
Mhm.
It kind of fell on deaf ears, never was even addressed in the ordinance. So anyway, I guess in the future, if the city council decides they want to develop an ordinance, then those kind of things will be ferreted out at that time. I would
Yeah.
assume.
And so I've been here, almost 2 years? I think this is the fourth, maybe, that's happened in 2 years. I don't know if the popularity of it is decreasing. People aren't getting permits.
The one on Gopher Flat they're not we didn't bless them, I don't think,
We did.
Did we really? The big house on Gopher Flat?
It's not that big of a house. Right on Gopher Flat and Cole?
No, there's another one up Gopher Flat.
Ah,
Not while I was here.
It was on Airbnb, so how do you guys discover these?
Well, I just out of curiosity looked on Airbnb and put in Sutter Creek and was like, do I know where these houses are? And I didn't see a lot. Like I thought, oh, there's not too many people doing this illegally. That's a good thing.
that's nice.
Well,
'Cause-
there's one.
hey,
Okay. Anyway, so is there
Open
any,
up to the public or?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna open it up to the public. Anybody, any other comments? If
I
not,
would just say it's gonna help.
Yeah. Greatly appreciate it though.
okay,
Greatly appreciate it.
Good.
That's always something we look at, so always helpful.
okay.
Yeah, and
Great.
I mean, personally, I really like the managed short-term rentals that are on premise with the owner. I mean, I just feel like that solves a lot of the problems that come with short-term rentals right there. And I really like that model a lot better than just the standalone full rentals on houses.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we ever had an ordinance there could be almost a
Exactly.
two-tier standard. If you're accessory dwelling on the property, you
Mhm.
know you get better care of.
Care, exactly. And I think people that stay at those, and I have stayed a lot, and I really like that because you get that owner input and they direct you around town and you end up being more part of the community in relation to those owners.
And they also make sure that they have good renters that
Yes,
don't
exactly.
offend them.
Exactly.
the other neighbors.
Yeah.
well, I visited their Airbnb and it's beautiful with a great view off the back patio. I mean, I could envision a day of wine tasting and, sitting out there having
Mhm.
your wine and cheese afterwards. So
Yeah.
they've done a nice job. Yeah.
Across the street.
All right, is there any other questions, any other comments from the planning commissioners? Do we have a motion?
No.
I'd happily move that we adopt resolution 2425.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, you guys are set.
Huzzah.
Have fun.
Thank you. You need
Anything
to
else?
go over-
Well, so we do have a little, a
All that lattice
brief
and
planning commission training about roles and responsibilities of the planning commission. So we're gonna go through that real quick
Oh.
and then, yeah,
Wait, what didn't
it was not included in the packet. It was a
Oh.
late ad.
I was gonna say, did I totally not see that?
And
No.
I know, Councilmember Reardon needs to pick somebody to replace.
Yeah.
So
think that's-
hopefully we'll get that done
Yeah.
for the next one.
Yes. So some roles and responsibility of the planning. Oh, hey, Karen. Are you want to do your part first?
Yeah, actually, I had a couple things I just wanted to insert before you got started. Just some housekeeping stuff as far as just making sure that if you're not going to be able to, most of you are really great at this, so it's really not directed at a problem. But just notifying us if you're not going to be able to make a meeting so that we can ensure we have a quorum. And if you have any update, any information to update, phone numbers, email addresses, if you want me to text you, if you prefer that over an email, just send it on over so that we can stay in good contact. And paying attention to any emails that are coming to you from FPPC. That is the filing. We want to make sure you stay current so that you don't get dinged in any way, and that has a way of sneaking up on people. So if you see anything from them, if you're not sure what it is, you can reach out to me. But usually they're pretty detailed and give good instructions for all electronic filing. So just don't ignore anything you see from them. If you have any concern that you might be conflicted on any item, if you it's a 300-foot parameter. If you have any issues, you can contact me. I can help verify if there's a conflict. I know most of you know where you're at and who's around you, but in case there's a question. And a huge reminder to use your microphones. We're providing the audio on our website and hoping to start adding the video too. And if people can't hear, it's almost useless for them and of no point for us to share it. So we want to make sure that all your voices are being heard so that, you know, an applicant who might not be present can follow along, or just any member of the public. I try not to interrupt you when you guys are in the middle of a discussion, but if I can't hear you, I'm going to need to interrupt. So just remember to talk into your microphone the best you can. And that's really all I had. I think, oh, I did, just a reminder that if you are absent from a previous meeting, and you can still vote on minutes. So if that ever creates a quorum issue, you can vote on minutes for a meeting that you didn't attend. That usually comes up once or twice throughout the year. So that's all I had. It's good to see you guys.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
it wasn't on the agenda.
No, it's just listed as planner's report, I think, or something like that. It's on the agenda as,
Yeah, it said something. I remember seeing it.
hold on, what is
I'm
this?
I'm
These are
looking right at
minutes.
the packet.
It's number 6, reports. For information only, city planner, A.
We want to roll into it?
I was gonna, it's on the agenda, right? I mean, it's on the agenda I'm looking at.
You're gonna,
I'm gonna
you're
do
gonna
it.
be brief.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
unless you have lots and lots of questions.
No, I thought we were gonna be out here. I'm
You-
not ready for a big workshop, if that's what you.
No,
No.
it's
Okay.
not.
All right.
Okay, so we're just going to quickly go over some of the roles of the Planning Commission. As you all know, you've been appointed by the City Council, and you're an advisory body to the City Council. The Planning Commission is not making policies, you're enforcing policies, but the policymakers are the City Council. What your role is to make recommendations to the council on policies, so the municipal code, the elements of the general plan and what's in the general plan, specific plans, the zoning code and implementation measures, and then like certain projects. They're like a site plan, for example, ends with the planning commission. You are the final approval authority, whereas, let's see, a pre-zone is a recommendation to the city council. So you approve like projects quasi judicially, and reviewing individual development review projects, like site plans, conditional use permits, variances, some maps, things like that. when reviewing them, you are ensuring that things are consistent with the general plan and zoning code and make the necessary findings to approve or deny a project. So one of my roles as staff is to provide you with the information you need to make those findings. And there's been discussion before about how heavy, I guess, I try not to provide a biased staff report. I try to provide information for you to make those findings or not make the findings. I also try not to bring projects to the planning commission that are incomplete, inconsistent, or with recommendations to denial. The goal is to have worked with the applicant using the code and the general plan to get to a point where they have a consistent project. And so has been questions about that before. And so if it was there are going to be instances where an applicant is like, no, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to say, okay, that's fine. It's inconsistent. I'm going to recommend denial. And then it would be up to the planning commission to see if they would agree with going along with that, if they agree with my interpretations of the findings, I guess. You also conduct public hearings and take in the testimony that you receive from the public to help make those decisions in a fair way. So the traits of a planning commissioner, you all live in the community and understand and know the community better than at least me as staff, as someone who doesn't live out here. So your not both your local knowledge and your institutional knowledge is really invaluable as a planning commissioner. You have different expertise that makes you valuable to the planning commission. You're open-minded and try to come into meetings with an open mind. Of course, you'll have some information before meetings, but with to listen to the information, the testimony that you receive at a meeting before you make a final decision, obviously. And I bet all of you have come into a meeting thinking you're going to vote one way, and then after hearing more about it, hearing what people say, go a different direction. A commitment to making this a fair process for all. This is a small community. You probably know the majority of applicants or know something about them, but making sure everyone gets a fair opportunity in front of you. And one thing that I'm going to help the commission do moving forward is to make sure we're articulating our findings. We just had an appeal, and so to make sure that we have the information we need in our record, the minutes, and on the recordings in case something ever went further than just an appeal to the city council. So what we ask of you is to come prepared, read the staff reports, visit the sites, ask the questions beforehand if you can, speak to applicants if you need to. I think the biggest thing I ask is that if you would approach me earlier rather than later with questions or asking for additional information so I can get that to you with enough time so you can be prepared in that and I can gather what you're asking for and not only provide it to the commissioner that asked me for that information, but everyone else so that we're not wasting time at the meetings and being as efficient as we can for these applicants who are waiting for a decision so they can move forward with their projects. Also understanding the findings and what that means in the municipal code. Each different type of application, a site plan, a variance, a conditional use permit has a different set of findings that you need to make. And so understanding how or what those findings mean. And if we ever needed to go through findings together as a commission, we can do that. Yeah, we can.
Can I comment on the meeting one?
Yes.
So I think one thing to be careful of, to have meetings as appropriate, is, again, I think you want to be fair. If you're going to meet with an applicant, you should probably also meet with somebody who's against the project or, not turn them down. But I think the biggest thing is you should be careful about getting information that's not public. And particularly on a quasi-judicial item, you'd have to say, applicant told me this, it wasn't in the staff report, so I'm announcing it now or whatever. So that's one area where we could get kind of caught up legally.
So questions a commissioner asked. So the information I provide you in the staff report, I'm going through and checking the municipal code, the zoning ordinance to make sure that it meets setbacks, heights, things like that. So obviously my goal is to make sure and to be as accurate as I possibly can. Obviously, I'm a human. But to rely on that information. And again, always ask the clarifying questions that you have to make sure you have the information. But I think at the end of it, and the question that I can't answer as staff, whereas your responsibility as the planning commissioners is like, what's best for the community? And does this fit into what the goals of the policies, the programs of the general plan and the overall vision of the community? So, and there are going to be tough decisions for you all with that, because not everyone's vision is exactly the same, or interpretations of findings and programs, things like that. Okay, commissioner's perspective. Like I said, you have the local knowledge. Some of you have been around a long time and involved in a lot of projects, which is really helpful, and that's something that's just invaluable to be able to talk about other projects and how the pros and the cons, and how the city has, learned, especially with some of these bigger projects, as cities like Sutter Creek don't have lots of big projects that come through, and there's some growing pains when you do have one. So Mike, we're looking at you, and we appreciate your institutional knowledge for that, and what you bring to the committee or commission for that, and because you've been around for a long time. So
And I've seen some big controversial projects.
yes. And so we hope that you then share your wisdom with all of us on how to do better next time, right? Working with the staff, like I said, I'm my goal is to provide you with all the information you need to make a decision. And so again, if there's additional information you need, please reach out to me. I think you all know how to either get in touch with me or Karen, or obviously Tom. So, yes, let's see. Yeah, and then working with the community, I'm assuming you all get lots of questions out and about when you're at community events, walking around about what's happening with the city, planning commission, certain projects. So there's a lot of responsibility for you there to make sure, you're treating everyone fairly, and explaining to them how the process works. So that is helpful to me. I know I see a lot of false advertising, or people that come to me with these, oh, I heard it's this and that. And, I'm only one person that can set the record straight about things. So that's almost a role of the planning commission. No, this is how you do it. Go into the front office and ask Holly for the application, and she can help walk you through it, or get you in touch with Aaron and things like that. So, yeah. No, that was brief. Any
Pretty brief.
questions?
Thank you.
Will we get a copy of this?
We can, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else in the pipeline?
Yeah, we have a couple site plan applications coming in for RV storage places.
Oh, we need more of those.
More? Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. We just had a
Those are
very,
big money makers for the city, right, Tom?
yeah. We just had a very interesting design review committee meeting, where a project right here, that vacant lot right there.
Yeah, that's a difficult lot to build.
It is. So the design review committee continued that item. They provided the applicant with some things to work on, but that will be coming to the planning commission for a site plan and a conditional use permit. Let's see, this was cool. That just got approved at DRC. Let me show you. This is going to be going on the wall at the Sutter Hotel,
Yeah,
a little
so-
mural
So,
Oh,
with
wow.
a photo. It's a photo op mural, so you can, stand
Stand
there.
there.
And the Arts Commission is doing that. So the design review committee really liked that. I also agree that
Mhm.
it looks really nice, and
On the outside or on the
What's else?
inside?
on the outside, on the wall,
Oh.
yeah.
What
Oh.
street,
On Church, no,
Hayden
Hayden,
Alley or?
yeah,
Hayden Alley, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
huh,
All right, cool.
okay.
We don't have the big infill come in yet, the 900 homes at Gold Rush.
Not yet.
Just make sure we have a real billionaire to do it.
You need to close this up?
What's that? Yeah, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
see y'all next month then.